An Ohio family is issuing a warning about a routine practice at teaching hospitals, which they say completely violated their trust. It's called a ghost surgery. And the family tells me the victim is their 11-year-old son with severe disabilities.
He could hit himself sometimes 50 times in 1 hour. And it's painful to watch, to have no control of your limbs.
Heather and Todd Steiger were desperate. Their son Jack has a very rare genetic disorder. For him, it means numerous symptoms.
You can do it, Jack.
Including epilepsy, hitting himself, and having uncontrollable movements in his arms and legs. So they sought out a surgery normally reserved for adult Parkinson's patients. They live in Cincinnati, Ohio, but in 2013, they were sent 650 miles away to a neurosurgeon at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. It's ranked the best hospital in the nation. Heather says the surgery was successful. The stimulator implanted in Jack's brain significantly helped reduce him hitting himself, and he was happy.
A huge, huge difference.
The Steigers say they had to fly back to Mayo in 2019 for what was supposed to be a routine surgery to replace the stimulator's batteries. It's a surgery Jack's had before without any issues, but they say this time turned out to be very different.
We believed he was the best surgeon out there for DBS. And the day before surgery, we meet with him, and he completely passes himself off as the one that's going to be doing the surgery.
After surgery, the Steigers say Jack suffered multiple complications, including 2 infections at his surgical sites and then later in his head, bringing him back to Mayo twice.
We ended up being air cared because he was deteriorating so much and so quickly, back to Mayo for them to extract the batteries.
The head infection meant the entire deep brain stimulator that helped him so much had to be removed. Heather began to dig into the November surgery, where she says she learned her son was the victim of a ghost surgery.
I pulled up the operative note, and when I saw it, it had a name on it that I'd never seen before.
The name of a second-year resident who she says she never met and performed Jack's surgery without her knowledge. And while the switch out might sound unusual, it's not. It's called a ghost surgery. It's right here in Webster's dictionary. And in speaking with a doctor and former hospital administrator, ghost surgeries happen all the time.
Ghost surgery is when the person actually cutting into you during an operation is not actually the surgeon you thought was going to be doing the operation. Between 50 to 85% of operations are carried out not by the surgeons, but surgeons in training called residents.
Surgeons don't see why this is a big deal for people, and people don't understand why surgeons don't think that this is a big deal.
So the question is, how is a resident allowed to do your surgery instead of your chosen surgeon? It all comes down to the consent forms you sign.
The line would be something like, I give permission for, residents to participate in the operation, or something like that.
The supervising physician, also known as the attending, is the only name required to be given to patients. The attendings are required to supervise a resident only during the critical part of the surgery. But the critical part is up to their discretion. Heather Steiger admits she did not read the informed consent, which says residents at Mayo are allowed to implant devices. She also says the medical records do not list their chosen neurosurgeon as being in Jack's OR until the end of the surgery. So they believe the attending was not there to supervise the resident during most of the surgery, and that is why they believe their son had such severe complications. Mayo says being a teaching hospital, they operate under a team model to ensure residents learn from some of the best surgeons in the country, and hands-on experience is how they learn. The Mayo Clinic and Jack's neurosurgeon denied repeated requests for an on-camera interview. Mayo did issue a statement which reads in part, quote, "We recognize that the family has been faced with many challenges and empathize with their situation. Nonetheless, we strongly dispute the allegations against Mayo Clinic and have significant evidence to support our position. The statement goes on to say, the family has indicated multiple times that they will not allow us to talk about this situation publicly. It's been nearly a year since the initial surgery. The Steigers still don't have any clear answers as to what caused Jack's infection that would lead to him getting 4 additional surgeries. Jack had to wait over 6 months to get a new deep brain stimulator put in at Cincinnati Children's. Heather says he still has a long way to go before his involuntary movements and self-injury get under control again, and they are still assessing possible permanent damage. The Steigers have filed numerous complaints to the Joint Commission, the Minnesota Medical Board, and Attorney General, and the Office of Civil Rights. Those investigations are underway, which Heather says can take months or years. Now, the family is also working to get legal representation, but they've been told that will be difficult unless Jack is severely and permanently harmed. Curtis, the Steigers are also calling for action to get the informed consent process changed to list who is actually doing the surgery.
So, Lindsay, after everything, does the family recommend avoiding teaching hospitals?
Not at all, actually. They fully support people going to teaching hospitals. They just want the process to be a little bit more transparent. And all the patient advocates and doctors I spoke with for this story all say teaching hospitals have some of the best doctors in the country.
How can people protect themselves, Lindsay, from a ghost surgery?
Great question. So first of all, ask a lot of questions. Ask who is actually doing the surgery. Will the attending surgeon be leaving at any point? And you also have the right to ask for residents to not participate or even enter your OR. Repeat any of your requests time and time again, and be sure to get everything you both agree to in writing.
Interesting story. Lindsay Oliver, thank you.